and welcome to the 5th edition of the Tour of Boudicca with me, Emma Martin.
And I'm Gillian Howland.
And my co-host. Gillian and I are going to be bringing you all of the action over the next 3 days. This is the Tour of Boudicca, 5 races, 3 stages, all over every race category in Zwift. So our riders are currently warming up and we have a real mix of teams and racers for you, all ages, all backgrounds, different amounts of time on the bike, as well as from all around the globe. I'm based here in Yorkshire in the UK. Gillian, where are you?
I'm based in the Midwest in the States, so what might be evening for you guys? We're tuning in the middle of the day here in the States.
Yeah, so it is dark here in the UK at the moment. It is indeed coming up for 7 o'clock in the evening. What time is it with you, Gillian?
So I'm in Central Time Zone, so it's only about 12:45 right now. And then those who are in the Eastern Time Zone, it's going to be about 1:45 for them.
Okay, so Gillian, the Tour de Boudicca, you have raced before. How did you get into cycling? Tell us a little bit about that.
Absolutely. I have raced it before. This is my first year not racing it. I did the past 2. And then I had always known of the other ones, but never had the chance to race it. I began Zwifting in, I think it was the end of 2019, but didn't really stick for me until the following year, the fall of 2020.
Interesting. Now, for me, what's interesting is I started Zwifting back in 2016, actually, but part and parcel as a way to train before work, because I was racing mountain bike and cyclocross here in the UK. So for me, it was very much part of training, not part of racing. And I didn't really start racing on it till about 3 years ago when I joined the Aeonian race team squad. What about you and racing, Gillian? How much have you been racing on Zwift, and what role do you take in that team?
Absolutely. So I began racing fall of 2020. Most of my training for going into the 2020 season was done on Zwift, but we all know what happened in 2020, so there was no racing. I began with, I've been a part of several teams. Some have been a co-ed team, some have been women's only. My strength with teams is building up the women's side of things. So I don't currently have, I'm not with a team per se, but I'm hopefully looking to race with BMTR this next coming season.
So while I try and keep my Aeonian bias out of the racing today, because it is a team competition, Gillian is with us. So Gillian and I, we are really excited to be bringing you this today. We are going to be following our teams and our riders all over the course of this tour. But now let's take a look at those 3 stages they're going to face in a little bit more detail.
Perfect. So this is a 3-stage stage race. Stage 1 consists of actually 3 short stage races. There's going to be a hill climb up the Zwift QOM, nearly a complete lap of Champs-Élysées over in Paris, and then a personal favorite of mine, they're going to be wrapping up their final of the 3 short races for stage 1 is going to be on Innsbruck Ring, which, as some of you know, holds the coveted or dreaded leg schnapper. Will it be a thorn or will it be some rocket fuel? Looking forward to that. Moving on to stage 2 is the criterium stage, and that's going to be on Glasgow's Crit course this year. It's one of the newer courses on Zwift. It has a 200-meter champion sprint, but there's also that stepping Clyde kicker, which provides plenty of opportunity. And this stage is going to provide riders with plenty of opportunity to collect team points for the day. Finally, wrapping up with stage 3 is a stage near and dear to my heart, the infamous Queen stage. on Watopia's Legends and Lavas. It consists of 2 QOMs, a snake up Titan's Grove, as well as a finish atop the volcano.
So it's going to be really interesting, I think, particularly today. We're opening with these 3 short sprint races. Now, in terms of today, should we take a little bit more look in detail about what we're going to face and our riders are going to do today?
So moving back to stage 1, one thing I forgot to mention real quick is that all categories over the entire weekend will be racing the same routes and the same distances. Kind of an equal opportunity for everybody. For today's races, for stage 1, there are no power-ups and there are no segments. We are only going after time, the best time on courses. Up the hill climb. It's a custom 1.9 kilometer finish, up Zwift QOM, and then moving on to Champs-Élysées. Again, it's a custom finish. They're doing almost a complete lap of this course, bringing us to 6.5 kilometers total. And then race 3, again on Innsbruck, is going to be 9 kilometers in total. And these races are set so that as one finishes, the next one will be beginning. So as race 1 comes to completion, 15 minutes after the start of race 1, race 2 will begin. And then 25 minutes after the start of race 2, race 3 will begin, which puts a lot of opportunities for riders to really pick and choose about, what they want their attacks to be. Are they a hill climber? Are they really going to send it for stage 1? Are they more of a time trialist? And they're really good at sitting in the pack and then making a breakaway. Maybe they've got more of a shot on Champs-Élysées. Or are they able to use a punch like the leg snapper to really set themselves apart from a peloton and then stay away as they come into the finish on Innsbruck Ring.
And I think some things are going to be really key today, aren't they? Things like bike choice is going to be really key because riders are going to have the opportunity to change bike between these 3 races.
They definitely can. I'm very hopeful to see different bikes in different races today. For the Zwift QOM, I want to look for some Specialized, some Athos, some Scott Addicts, Evos. The Canyon Ultimate is also a great choice. Something light here is really going to benefit the rider frame-wise. And then with wheels, let's go for some Mielensteins for those of us who have won it at the top of the Alp. For another great choice are going to be the DT Swisses. The shallow ones or the heavy or the deep ones are actually great choices here, as well as the Roval Alpinists are also going to be a good option. Moving on to race 2, I would like to see some people on some Venges or some Cervelos. The Felt AR I know is a good aero bike, and then the trusty I call it the Justin Morgan of aero bikes, or the Justin Morgan pony of aero bikes is the Canyon Aero Road. Wheels. I want to see some disc wheels out there. I want to see the rainbow disc wheel. I want to see the zip ones. Anything that's deep is really going to benefit the riders to maximize their draft out on course. And then I would be surprised if we saw bike changes for the riders who are going to be opting for different bike setups from Champs-Élysées to Innsbruck Ring. They're similar enough courses, and I think the riders who are going to benefit in one are also probably going to benefit in the other one, and so something aerodynamic on that course as well. So I think we're definitely going to be seeing a lot of the trusty Trons. We'll be looking for a rainbow of colors out there.
So our first race starts at 7 p.m. Race number 2 on the Champs-Élysées starts at 7:15, and race number 3, the 9 kilometers around Innsbruck Ring, starts at 7:40. Those are the race starts for the A category riders. Our B category riders start 1 minute after them. C cat starts 2 minutes after the A category, and category D starting last 3 minutes after the A category riders leave the pens. So it's going to be fast and furious today, Gillian. This first race, particularly 1.9 kilometres, a warm-up is going to be absolutely essential.
Yes, to reiterate what you said, a warm-up is going to be absolutely essential. This is a very fast route. It's going to take riders doing some. I had to do some math looking at the course earlier today, but I'm going to guess they're going to get to the base of that climb, well under 2 minutes, and then it's because it's mostly flat, and they're going to all be in the draft, and then it's going to be for some of our A-level riders, maybe even some of the top B-level riders, it's going to be, 90 seconds, maybe closer to 1:45. And then maybe some of our lower categories are going to see that hill climb is going to be a little bit probably closer to 2 minutes for some of our C's and D's.
Well, why don't we head over and take a look at the teams and the riders who are going to be on that start line very shortly.
Let's do it.
So you can see in front of you the teams and the jerseys. They are going to be racing in 31 teams overall across all 4 of our race categories. We have a huge wealth of riders, 53 riders in Cat A, 84 in Category B, a whopping 141 riders on the start sheets in Category C, and 58 riders in Category D. Now, not all those riders will be on the start line with us right now because there is a second race start for today's stage only, because in the USA and Canada it is a working day, so all of our riders will be together on Saturday and Sunday. Around 50 riders taking that option today. So let's see who's down on the start line today. So there
Welcome
we have
to the pens.
all 4. Yeah, all 4 of our start categories, Gillian.
Yep, as you can see, we've got A in the upper left-hand corner, and then B moving over. Oh, we only have one rider so far that I can see. Upper right is going to be our Category B racers. Lower left is going to be Category C, and finally our Category D racers in the lower right.
So we are just following for this first race our Category A and Category D race, and that is because of the short length of time it's going to take our riders to complete this 1.9 kilometre course. For stage 2, the next race, we will be following Category B and Category C, and then overall on stage 3, the Innsbruck Ring, we will be following all 4 of our race categories. As our Category A riders leave the pen, the Tour de Boudicca is up and running. This is stage 1, and you can see the riders pedaling frantically off of that start line. A more casual start there from Izzy Torres. She's one of the Ionian riders, but the other riders showing us how to come fast off that start line. So look at the stretch, Gillian, already.
Yeah. It definitely seemed like it was they were all coming in together. It seemed like it was going to be a kind of a hot start, but then looking in the Zoom room, some of our riders were sitting up, making sure their final messages about the fact that they're going to be live streamed today. They were sending them out to family members.
So this race today, we've got these 3 races, and the individual category is about your time, your combined time in these 3 races today. Do you think that's going to influence tactics, Gillian?
I absolutely think so. So in the spirit of true stage racing, and one thing that I really appreciate that the Warrior Games does with these races is that it's really treated like an actual stage race, where the combined, and with this one, stage one being a combination of 3 races, all 3 races are going to go towards the leaders' times. And
Well,
so I
talking
could
about these
definitely see
leaders,
teams. I could see teams, putting forth their best climbers right now, because if a climber can, can get away and stay away, then the team can kind of protect them,
yeah.
going them into the other races.
And that seems to be what's going on at the moment, because Holdcroft is pushing on at the front there. May following closely. Columbi is there, and we know she's a phenomenal climber. Guerra now working her way up into third place.
I want to keep an eye on Guerra.
Yeah, they are working and working hard. Anna Russell is in there as well with Smith and Tidholm. They are pushing on. Hansen is there as well for all the AAO squad, but it's Holdcroft who's coming round that sweeping bend first.
Very steady effort from Holdcroft. Do we know what team Holdcroft is from?
Yeah,
Onshore next.
There you go. So next, powered by Insured, the Holdcroft rider. You can see her stats on the bottom of the screen there. This is 2 minutes 45 seconds
Hansen's coming
into
over the
the
top
first
from
race.
Aeonian.
Yeah, so 300 meters left to go. And Hansen is pushing on as well here. This is a big push coming from the Aeonian rider as Hansen pushes on, gone past Holdcroft. So Hansen pushing on here, 100 meters to the line. So Hansen now, heart rate up at 175 and climbing fast, goes through and across the line. So it is indeed Hansen from the riders. That is the Cat A race. It is up and over in under 3.5 minutes.
Under 3.5 minutes.
Yeah, absolutely amazing there.
So I could
definitely. How fast was that?
I could see some of our,
the
Aeonian teammates. Oh, okay. On to D.
Yeah, they are up and out of the pen already.
I'm interested to see how the D racers played out, because there's kind of 2 ways that a rider could attack this climb. They could go right from the start as hard as they can and just suffer 1 or 2 seconds longer than the rest of the field, and that will kind of shock the field, and the field will think to themselves, oh, we can't go catch them. And then that almost allows a gap to open up. Or if a rider is good at going back to front, then they can almost use that slingshot effect that you get as if you're, what is that, tail gunning. If you're tail gunning off the back, you can kind of use that momentum that you get going through the pack to slingshot yourself up through the group, and then you can take over the front from there.
So the first 1,000 meters of this race are over. They are now up and onto the climb, and a much more compact group in
more
category D.
Tame approach. Here's where the bit gets steep. 11%, 10%. I can empathize with these riders so much. I get to this point of the climb and everything seems impossible.
Well, heart rates are already high. Duval's heart rate up at 175 and working really hard. Even though this is just a short race, it is absolutely flying from the start pen. So Duval from Vixen currently in 15th place. Further up, it is Walker versus Stairs at the front. So the Galaxy rider from Wales is the rider leading this out at the moment. So the pack is really starting to stretch now, and you can see that view, can't you? And the time gaps are going to be there in this Category D race. The riders now with 400 metres to go.
I think our Galaxy rider Stairs is going to keep, I think she might keep it away. Holding at a steady, 3.7 to 3.9 watts per kg. Walker's not really gaining on her.
No, it's a strong pace, isn't it, from the Galaxy rider there?
It's a very, very consistent rider we have here. Very impressive.
Yeah. I think there was very much a plan from the Galaxy rider from the gun. Walker now pushing on as well. This is a really steep section, and the gradient continuing to push here until you come to the flatter part, till we get to the banner. There are 200 metres now to go, and Taylor, look at that. Taylor now pushing up, moving towards second place, and a big kick coming out of Taylor now.
100 meters to go for Stairs. I don't think Taylor's gonna catch her, but she did. No. Taylor did bring that gap down pretty. Made that gap much smaller.
Yeah, she did indeed. That gap was around 4 seconds, taking it down to 2 on the line. So closing that down nicely.
That climb really blew apart this D field.
They did indeed, and look at the stretch on that group. So there are going to be seconds here separating these riders after this first 1.9 kilometres of racing. 5 minutes there for our D category riders. Been a really interesting first race already. So as we are watching our D category riders coming through and across the line, it's been really interesting. Now, this concept of these 3 short races, so 3 short races on the same day, riders having to race that hilly loop at 1.9 kilometres. Now we've seen them go through the line, Gillian, we've seen those heart rates really high. They are now already getting into the start pens for the Champs-Élysées. By my clock, it is 7:09. There are 6 minutes until the start of the A category race. So what do you think our riders are going to be doing at the moment?
Oh, that's a good question, Emma. My guess is probably some fueling. I would definitely, if I was de-essing any one of the teams out there, I would tell them, get your fueling in, keep your legs moving. If you're going to do a bike swap, change your bike now. I would also probably remind riders, it's not just about how well you did race 1. It's about how well you're also going to do race 2 and how well you're planning on doing race 3. So keeping the mindset forward going into these next 2 races. Say they didn't have the race that they wanted on the hilly loop, not a problem. We've got 2 more opportunities, which is one of the things I like about this unique 3 race stage 1.
And the Champs-Élysées course, a 6.5 kilometre course, very different to what the riders have just experienced on that very short, sharp, hilly loop race 1. So race 2, and you can see on the map there going round. Talk us a little bit more detail, Gillian, about this specific course. What are the riders going to face here? Because there are some climbs on it, but nowhere near like they've just experienced.
Nothing like the Watopia QOM, you're correct. But there is, there's kind of false flats all over the place. As they're going toward the Arc du Triomphe, it's going to be a false flat in the positive direction, positive gradient. As they come around the Arc, or the Arc du Triomphe, it's going to be kind of a negative gradient. So speeds you can almost get that tumbleweed or waves on a beach effect where riders are tumbling into one another. So for those who are planning on drafting in the back, they're really going to have to stay on top of, if a 1 second gap opens up, you really have to shut it down right away. As the riders come down toward the more paddle looking end of the course, they're going to round that lower corner down by our kilometer 5, and there's actually a dip down underneath an overpass, and if a rider is smart, they can use that as some rocket fuel. They can drop down underneath the overpass, and I believe I couldn't tell you the exact gradient, but it's steep enough to where you can really,
It's a real kicker.
Yeah, really build some momentum, and then it's a really short flat before you pop up on the other side of the overpass. And as long as you carry all of that momentum around that second to last corner and into the last corner, even though the riders will be finishing on a slightly uphill, so a slightly false flat, I doubt that many of the riders are going to even notice it. But I know for some of our riders, if you inform them that there's an uphill finish, you can almost discourage them from, it can just be a little bit discouraging. So in the times that I have DS'd racers on this course, I tell them, it's a flat. Just picture it as a flat and just drop your sprint.
Well, it's going to be interesting to see whether we see any attacks shortly coming up at that underpass, because Gillian, as you mentioned, it is the ideal spot to go for a long attack to the finish line. It's going to be really fast, furious, and it's going to be interesting to see who has recovered well from that first effort.
Here we're back in the Zoom room. One thing to notice mention about the Champs-Élysées course is it is on cobbles, which, depending on what type of trainer you have, if you don't have the real world feel turned off, like I have done numerous times, it can feel like you're actually riding on cobbles. Food for thought for some of the riders who have the trainers that can do that. Some people like it, some people don't. But it is a course that is entirely on cobbles.
Well, I'm loving the way that riders are staying warm in between the races, keeping their legs spinning, as you mentioned there, Gillian, and sitting in that start pen, but obviously in their home around the globe. So these are very different time frames for our riders, like they are different time frames for our viewers. So we can tell that.
We can tell that Gabriella Guerra is it's daytime for her, and then there's the evening. Our rider in the puffy, smart idea, by the way. It almost looks like there's a window. Could be nighttime for her.
Yeah, so our riders there now in that start pen. The A category riders have got 1 minute till race start. This time we are going to be following our B category riders and our C category riders through this 6.5 kilometre race. So you can see there from the shots of those A category riders, they were up and off of that start line. We can see our category B riders and our category C riders still in the start pen awaiting the go.
I'm excited to see what type of action we get with the enormous C category out on Champs-Élysées.
It's a big category, isn't it?
By far one of the largest I have seen.
140, I just had to check my notes then to make sure I got the right number. 141 C category riders on the start sheets. It is a huge race field. 84 B category riders. In fact, the B and C categories, the two largest race fields.
Do you think that, here we go, on course with our category B riders. So they're going to be heading out of the pens onto the cobbles, heading down towards that paddle section of the course that I mentioned earlier. As promised, we do see some disc wheels in here. I see lots of Canyon Arrow roads. I see lots of Tron bikes too, trusty Trons.
And we've got riders coming to the fore, haven't we? I can see Torrey in there. I can see Conlon in there. I can see Jackson in there. Furness is there as well. So is Smith. These riders at the front of the peloton at the moment from their various teams, a coalition in there. Electric Spirit are in there, Raver in there. These riders racing individually, but also for their teams as well. And this big pack of 68 riders in this Category B race all together as they sweep round this left-hand corner. So 700 metres now of this 6.5 kilometre race now complete. And Gillian, we've had a strong start on the B category. The C category are now also up and out of the pen.
Yes, moving over to C, our giant C field. We've got Ball from WCC remind me of that team, Emma.
WCC, that is indeed the Wobble Cycle Club. Probably the best name of the cycling
club.
It is indeed probably the best name of any team I could think about. But the teams are really interesting, you know. So the largest number of riders from any team come from the Aeonian squad. And look at that, we're starting to be able to see some of our teams and some of our riders here on the screen, and a real mix and match. So the team with the largest number of riders is indeed the Aeonian squad, with 23 riders across the 4 categories. Synergy 22 riders and Galaxy 21. The smallest teams, so Team Castelli powered by Elite and Next powered by Insured, 3 riders each in the A category. So a real mix of teams and a real mix of size of squad.
One thing I love about the B and C categories is you get the moms racing at home, you know, with their kids, you know, maybe sitting next to them on their little stationary tricycle, you know, or they're, you know, they've got kids bringing them their water bottles and their bananas, their post-race, pre-race bananas. You get these, you get these real people who are, who are, you know, also participating in these elite races.
Yeah, and I think that it rings true for all of our categories. You know, I can say this because I am an over 50, is that there are more than 50 riders competing in the Tour of Boudicca who are my age or over. So as we mentioned right at the front, they're from under 23 to over 60, phenomenal. And this is a drop down you were talking about, isn't it? Where they drop down into that underpass and then get to kick out of the other side. But both big packs we can still see on the B and C categories we've got on the screens in front of us. So C race is on the right hand side of your screen. The B race is on the left hand side. One big pack in each. And both races moving really strongly. Both race fields moving at 40 kilometers an hour.
The C race almost looks like someone is trying to pull it apart from the front end. The B race, not so much. The B race is a nice tight blob. They're all sitting up. They're all probably, you know, some of them are probably waiting for that final sprint, but it looks like riders in the C category, so on the right hand of your screen, it looked like some riders were trying to get away. They might have all come back together at this point.
Yeah, and taking a little look at some of the riders we've got in here, you know, Baker from the Revo squad is in here. Porter is in here as well. Sari and Paris are in here. Wood is in here. These are the riders towards the front of this pack. This is a huge pack. Whitaker is in there. Shaughnessy is in there. Ball is right on the front with Bright. these two riders at the moment continuing to cover the front of that group, actually. So they're very keen to stay on the front of the pack.
That could be a team tactic. It also could be the fact that those opportunities those riders want the first shot at the opportunities on course. But if it were a team tactic, I would be looking out for those front riders. I would be looking out for their teammates to see whether or not those front riders are holding back the pace so that eventually a teammate can come and move through the pack and take over the front while their teammates keep it slower.
So we continue to move into this race. Now 6 minutes complete for Category B, 5 minutes for Category C. They did start 1 minute behind. Both still big packs on the road. The riders continuing to move here. Grant is moving up here. Becca Kearney is in here for the AEO squad. She's up the front there as well. So is Fairweather and Dallaire. Ernst is in here as well. Brooke from Hurd. Rutford is in there as well. These riders continuing to rotate in this pack, and that's because this pack is moving at a strong pace, but similar powers coming through. So these riders now on this climb section that you were talking about earlier on, Gillian. Mm-hmm. And we start to see a push actually there coming off the front. It is indeed, but a push coming off the front there, and it is indeed the Electric Spirit Rider pushing there, followed by Strauss, the Crush Pod team member. Wendorf is there too, so is Cuthbertson. This push really starting to happen now.
Looked like our riders were pretty quick to not let her get away, but it almost seems like they're letting her hanging her out to dry, just to maybe, get her to use some of her energy. And then they all brought it back together.
Yeah, well, interesting. The Electric Spirit Rider, Clara Lagros, only started riding less than 12 months ago. So she's gone from starting to ride and race a bike to being at the front of this pack at the moment. This is the Tour of Boudicca. This is the 5th edition, the Tour of Boudicca, starting in 2020. This is the Category B race. This is race number 2 of Stage 1. And it is fast and furious around the Arc de Triomphe at the moment for that Category B race. A little bit further back down the race field is the Category C race. And Gillian, this climb here is causing more of a stretch on the group here, as we see it is indeed the Crush Pod riders at the front, pushing hard. They've got Aeonian riders for company as well. Rave rider Paris in there too. So riders really pushing on and making the pace strong on the front of this Category C race as well.
That's a bit of a smart thing to do for those riders in the front, especially if they're trying to break riders off the back. If that front group really pushes the pace going up that little climb, underneath that sprint banner, then they have the ability to use the momentum of the pack to keep the pace high as that uphill section completes. And those riders who were maybe not paying attention quite as much as they should have in the back, it might cause them to break off the back, and then that peloton's smaller and they have fewer competition at the end of the race, at the finish line.
And today's racing is about time. It is about minimizing the time gaps between the other riders in the race, as we start to see the Bs wind up. And this is the wind up for the sprint. This is the wind up for the finish, with 200 meters to go in the B race.
A lot of riders coming through with their putting forth their sprints out on that finish. So I didn't actually see who took the finish.
Well, it was fast and furious at the front of that race. The C category behind, it is Whitaker from Level at the front there. Spencer from Herd. Saatchi is there too. Saatchi from Galaxy moving on. I Race Like a Girl have got a rider in the mix as well. So at Level Racing, the riders pushing this group. There is still a large number of riders in this group, just over 50 riders still in this leading group in this C category, even though there are multiple packs on the road. So it's really interesting as these riders spread across the road. No one wants to let up off the pace. Everybody is taking a look at each other as they come into the final 600 meters here. This is a custom race. Paris from Rave moving through. They are all watching each other here as this race starts to move. They are starting to motor and they're starting to wind it up.
Off the front.
They are indeed, and it's the Swedish riders going off the front. We've got more than one Swedish rider absolutely in the mix as the pace goes high. 8.5 watts per kilo coming out there from the Crush Pod rider towards the finish. So Porter pushing, Olsen too. Phenomenal racing from our C category riders. Profumo was there, Paris was there, Brown was there, Porter was there. All those riders coming through to the front of that pack. Overmo from the Aeonian squad there as well as Brown. The race number 2 is done.
That was a fast race. Well done to all the riders.
Yeah, they were fast and furious and big packs at the front of both of those races.
I was expecting to see a little bit more of the riders stretch out coming down that final that false flat descent after their second time around the Arc du Triomphe. But it almost looked like they were kind of tumbling into each other but not going through each other. And I was thinking that maybe that was some riders kind of taking some micro rests and setting themselves up for that final sprint, because it didn't really look like anyone was working too hard, but the pace of the pack was still pretty high. But I think we could probably credit the -2 to -3 gradient.
Yeah, I think so too. And what was interesting, wasn't it? It really was attrition from the back of the start group rather than anybody breaking clear off the front. If you could stay with that front group, you were there and you were in it for the sprint, and you were there in terms of a minimum time gap. Now, your time from race number 2 added to your time from race number 1. We have one more race to go today, and that is race number 3, and it's the longest one of them all.
Yeah, adding up to a total of 9 kilometers. It's one complete lap of Innsbruck Ring, so this does include the lead-in. It's not a very long lead-in, and it's a relatively, for the area of Austria, relatively flat route. It does kind of undulate as the riders move through town. They go over the canal, and then they're going to go to the roundabout. If riders were to continue straight to the roundabout, they would go up the enormous QOM there. But
we don't want to do that today.
Take a right and continue through town, back over the canal, or maybe it's a river. I think it's actually the Inn River, and then it's continuing through town, and then the third time over that river, they're going to get their introduction to the leg snapper. And if riders can really use the drafting dynamics of the group going into the base of that climb, it's a 30-second to 1 minute kind of thorn in your foot that can really either light a rider up and say, all right, here's some rocket fuel to kind of get you into the, that back half of the race, or the back 1/3 of the race. And if they can really keep the amount of effort that they're putting forth up the leg snapper into that really tight corner that you see, they can carry their speed over into that descent, and they could probably, if they're going fast enough, probably get a little bit of a super tuck in. And it's going to be a short one, but it's enough for you to maybe sit back on your bike, get a sip of water, take one big deep breath, hold it for 3 seconds, and then you've got a little bit of a hiccup. As you kind of snake your way through the descent, it's going to bump you up and down, and then the descent's going to finish as you make that sweeping, it's a left-hand turn, and then you're sort of faced with your sprint runway. The sprint doesn't count today because there are no segments in any of the races today. But then as soon as the riders make that hairpin turn, I think it's 1.5 kilometers to the finish, and that is, I think it's completely flat.
Yeah, it is indeed.
And if a rider has been able to stay away through that hairpin turn, that could potentially seal the win for them.
Yeah, you see, I love this course, and I know a lot of racers and riders either love it or hate it. It is a bit of a Marmite course, but that leg snapper, it's only 450 metres. It's an average gradient of 7%, but it does feel a lot steeper and a lot longer, but it is absolutely crucial. And that crucial point for me really is that right-hand turn at the top when that gradient changes from an uphill to a downhill. And 2 seconds clear at the front there on the climb can become 20 seconds clear of the chaser really, really quickly. So for me, that is going to be absolutely crucial for our riders and racers and viewers to keep an eye on.
I like to remind the riders when I DS them up the leg snapper, it's not a 450 meter climb, it's a 460 meter climb.
Yeah, it is.
And you are not done climbing until you are super tucked.
Yeah, push on and push over the top and push down, because the momentum you can gain from that kick as you transition from the climb to the descent will get your speed up really fast, and that is an absolute key tactic here, isn't it, on the Innsbruck Ring?
It also is going to be beneficial for those riders in an aerodynamic setup. So a lot of the bikes that we saw on the Champs-Élysées, we're also going to see on Innsbruck Ring. I would be surprised if anybody changes anything, because the aerodynamic benefit that you're going to get from that setup is going to, way surpass any of the benefit that you might get on the leg snapper with a light frame.
Yeah, and it always feels to me like quite a long run into the finish when you come up to the top of the leg snapper and you start to drop down and descend. It feels still a long way to the finish, particularly when you're putting in an effort to stay clear.
It does. However, I don't know if I've ever raced this course without doing the sprint. I'm a sprinter, maybe by nature, maybe by choice. I'm not sure. I haven't figured that out yet. But race,
it's going to be interesting to see who's read their race manual.
Yeah, it will be interesting to see if anybody goes for those those sprint points. Quote unquote.
Well, it is the Innsbruck Ring coming up next. It is the final race of our 3 short races that make up the first day of the Tour de Boudicca. Tomorrow it is 1 sprint race on Glasgow. It is the Queen stage on Sunday, where the Queen of the Mountains comes in as well. But Innsbruck Ring is still in front of our riders today. They are going to be warming up, as we can see, as we quickly take a little shot behind the scenes of our riders. We can see the riders in and on their bikes, staying warm and staying focused. They've got 5 minutes or just under 5 minutes now until race start. Race start at 7:40 GMT for our category A racers. Our category B riders going 1 minute after that, 2 minutes after the A category. Our C category riders start, and our final category out of the start pen starting at 7:43 GMT today. Now, as we mentioned at the top of the show, 56 riders choosing to race in the later race slot today, mainly are riders from the USA and Canada. Those riders will be joining us tomorrow and Sunday, with all of our competitors on the Tour of Boudicca coming together for those 2 stages. Obviously, it is Friday, and around the world it is still work time for some people, hence that latter racing opportunity for our riders. So whilst those riders still have this to come, our riders in their pain caves sat there ready for the final race of today. So 3 minutes to go till the final race. We are down on the start pen. Gillian, why don't you take us out of this start pen for our category A riders for this final race of today?
Oh, message from Brandy Steve. Let's go Synergy. We've got just over 2 minutes before the start of our final stage today. We can see the beautiful Alps in the background. As the riders stay warm, they're staying loose, staying hydrated, getting some fuel in them before their final stage, or final race of this stage.
The Synergy team, 22 riders on the Tour of Boudicca or on the Synergy team, should I say. We have 7 riders in category C, 8 riders in category B, and 7 riders in category A on that Synergy team. And there you go, you can see that is indeed the A team for Synergy. As they sit in that start pen, we can see those riders up on the screen. They are down in the start pen waiting for the action to start. That's the C team. We've had a quick flick of the B team too. So riders in those 3 categories riding for Synergy. Just 2 teams with a full complement of squads across all 4 categories, A, B, C and D. That's the Aeonian race team and Team ESRT, Love the Race esports race team as well. So those 2 teams having a full complement of squads right the way across the 4 race categories. So with 45 seconds to go, you can see the riders in category 1 down in the start pen. In fact, you can see all 4 categories in the start pens in front of you. And we're going to be following the action from all 4 races in Innsbruck.
We should have less than 30 seconds closer to 20 seconds before the A's exit their pens. See, we have Griffin from Electric Spirit, hopefully staying nice and loose. 3 seconds to go. You're going to start seeing riders ramping up their watts. And a decent spicy Zwift start.
Yeah, sometimes the start can be particularly spicy, can't they?
I think sometimes the hardest part of a Zwift race is the start.
Well, we talked about a warm-up earlier and being warm and ready to go. Absolutely key and core. The riders up and out the start pen, and you can see the stretch up to over 40 kilometres an hour already, 30 seconds into this race. And the stretch on this group, they absolutely mean business in Category A in this final race today.
So riders are just going to be snaking their way through town at this point. I don't see much happening in the fields until we get to that leg schnapper. We've got Harper from Aeonian up front, Kaplan from, I believe it was I Race Like a Girl, Anna Russell from Riot is up front, Nuts from 2024, Kessler from I Race Like a Girl. The whole group, I believe everybody, maybe with a handful of riders not in the peloton, but everybody seems to be pretty much here. Not really racing yet. I think some of the racing is going to start, as we approach that leg schnapper, and especially on the backside of that descent.
Yeah, the pack is very tight, isn't it? The pace that's coming out of the riders, very consistent and very steady. Dixon, Smith, Kalman is in there as well for Team Castelli. We talked earlier, didn't we, about the Electric Spirit Squad. The A category riders, Griffin, Gilbert and Kent, the three riders for the Electric Spirit Squad in this race at the moment. Now, the riders taking that right hand bend. Harper is right at the front here. So is Waterfield. So is Kessler. Kent is right up too. And Miller. In fact, we're in with Miller at the moment from I Race Like a Girl. She's absolutely up in that top 20 in that pack, making sure she's covering the action. The colour of the jerseys, absolutely giving us a rainbow tonight in the pack. But Gilbert there from Synergy is the rider on the front, and there is a bit of a push coming now and a bit of a stretch coming onto this. So Gilbert from Synergy pushing on the front. Dora is there too, so is Tidholm, so is Kessler. These riders marking here. Dixon from Synergy also covering the move. In fact, you can see those jerseys coming to the fore. These team riders really wanting to be part and parcel of the mix. Miller and Collins, Kessler and Kelman, Waterfield and Tidholm, all of these riders as Gilbert continues to push. So the two Synergy riders are right on the front of this pack at the moment. But that's the A race. All of the other categories have also started as well.
Moving over to category B, we can see again most everybody, or I think everybody in this category is together. Got Fairweather from Wahoo Lacole up front, Grogan from Coalition, Conlon from, I think it's NZBRO, Nealon, not sure who Nealon is with. McIntosh from Wahoo Lacole also up there in the front. Nobody's really pushing the pace, kind of just sitting in, keeping the legs loose. Still having some active, almost seems like some active recovery in this peloton. We've got Braun up there from Rave, I believe.
Yeah, so McIntosh from Wahoo Lacole comfortably sat in this pack. In fact, there's quite a few Wahoo Lacole riders' jerseys you can see littered at the front part of that peloton. Really eye-popping in that pink and blue. You can see them there scattered amongst that top group as we go around the corner here. Bosch from Team F3 up here, so is Smolder. McIntosh still right up the front of that peloton as we continue to push. Nordstrom from Synergy coming up and through, and Ernst is there, and Nealon. These riders watching this race and making sure they're right up where they need to be. This for me, Gillian, is not about being on the front, but is about being in the right place in this peloton.
I agree. It's going to be a right place at the right time approach to this race.
It definitely is. Well, I tell you something, who right place, right time has already gone off the front. So 3.6 kilometres into this 9-kilometre race, 5 minutes 40 under her wheel. This is Holcroft absolutely pushing on now, and it's Anna Russell doing the chasing from the right squad. 2 seconds now, the gap to the chase group. Smith, Russell, Gilbert. These riders pushing on here. 3 seconds now. Holcroft, she's time trialling away from the group here.
I'm interested to see if she's able to stay away. So far, her watts per kg look like she might be able to stay away from this group, and it looks like there was an effort being put forth, but I don't know if that effort is going to be big enough to really close that gap.
Well,
maybe they're just hanging her out there until the leg snapper, then they'll overtake her then.
Well, Maria Holcroft from Next, powered by Ensured. It is a 3-rider squad. Holly Bergin is on that team. Maria Holcroft and Morgan Cabot. Those 3 riders really strong. And it is indeed Holcroft who is the rider who has gone out down the road. The chase is on behind, and you can see the damage it's being doing to the group here as we just drop in with Guerrera. She is part and parcel of that pack, and you can pick out that jersey from the Evo squad there in the pack as well. Really does stand out, but she is in there with a whole group of other class riders, as it is Holcroft from Next, powered by Ensured, who is up the road at the moment. And if she could turn her head and take a look over her shoulder, she is not going to see the chasing pack.
No, she's not.
Fantastic move.
As Holcroft completes her pass over the river, she's stepping up into the base of the leg snapper. 7-8% already, holding steady. 8 watts per kg.
She is kicking hard.
Some orange numbers.
She is absolutely going for the seconds here. She wants that time gap, and she wants to hold it. She wants to push. Look at the power coming out. 500 watts. She's fluctuating around her heart rate. Well, if that was me, I'd be going pop at the moment with a heart rate of 181, but that is personal to everyone. But what a push coming from the Next, powered by Ensured squad.
Hansen and Guerra. Oh, Hansen's making a move.
Yeah,
didn't really go anywhere. Guerra pretty close on her wheel.
They are indeed. So Hansen
Russell's
from
in
the
there.
squad leading that
Our
charge. Guerra is there. Russell is there. Yeah, Smith is there. Collins.
Quartet. If they can stay away from the group, if they can push down this descent, they might be able to make a break away from the group. And then, it wouldn't even be a bad idea to kind of, between these 4, time trial your way into the finish. Because I was only going to say, because of the flat nature of that last 4-kilometre run on this course, if a group would work together, they could indeed bring a breakaway back. This is the B group. They are not yet on the leg snapper. They are just about to get there. It's a big group going in this time. Nobody has tried to go clear. Yeah, so at the base of the climb, and you can see the climb in front, and in fact, it is Strasser from Crush Pod.
Yeah,
here comes the Gross from Electric
And the Electric Spirit, the Gross pushing on there. Look at 8 watts per kilo. That is a concerted attack.
I hope she keeps this effort up over the top of this and around the corner to see what her gap. I want to see what her gap might be.
Yeah, well, that 1 second has just turned to 2 as she has gone round the corner. She is flying down the descent. It's gone to 3. Now the chase is on behind, and it is Neelan and Ernst and Strasser there pushing on behind. Eschard from Rakoka is there as well. So is Wendorf and Williams, Oliver and Becca Kearney from the Aeonian squad. But it is 4 seconds now. We've got multiple small groups having come round that corner. 1 rider clear in the B race, with a chase group mirroring what was happening in that Category A race. This is a C race. This is a leg snapper.
This leg snapper is definitely pulling apart this C group. Kind of how I would have expected the race to go. I'm interested to see who's up at the front. We've got White from, I believe that's Synergy, Jackson from, I think that was Coalition. Seems like a very steady effort from most of these riders coming up this leg snapper. It doesn't really seem like anyone's really making a jump at it, making a move. Oh, I think we just had someone zero out. That's the worst. That's a Zwift equivalent of a flat tire.
Well, whilst someone's dealing with a mechanical, it is Spencer going over the top with Schneider in 1 and 2, but they are leading a big group of riders, not like we saw in the A and the B race where a lone rider went over the top together. This is a group this time, and it's a much bigger group, isn't it, Gillian?
It is. We've got Spencer coming in from Herd. White making the jump from Synergy. I'm hopeful that this group can stay away, but we'll have to see if whether or not the chase group, maybe the peloton.
The chase group is only 1 second back. Yeah, so I think that C group, we're going to see that chase group come together behind and create one large group. The D race is there as well, just on that bottom right-hand corner of the screen. They are yet to swing in to the leg snapper. I'm giggling because
here comes the approach, we know what's
to the leg coming.
Snapper.
Here it comes. And it is Fish from the Aeonian squad. So Hanley Fish from the AO squad. Gould is there as well. So is Nordquist there. The riders who are going to come round. And Hanley Fish from the Aeonian squad coming to the fore. Oh, Gillian, we're back in with the A's. And
Goldcroft with almost a 20-second lead. It looks like Electric Spirit, Riot, it looks like they're trying to close it down, but I mean, 17 seconds and
there's 100 meters left.
Yeah, 100 meters to go. It's not.
That is the finish line, and Holcroft's going to come across the line in 1. This is the race for 2nd, 3rd, and 4th. It's Tidholm in there.
Itkin from Aeonian coming over the top of a Swedish rider from.
Yeah.
Oh, is it going to be
Hansen is in there too. So Holcroft in 1, Hansen, Itkins, Collins. That was the Category A finish. This is the Category D race, and Hanley Fish from the Aeonian squad is coming up to the top of the leg snapper. The gap back to Beams from Coalition now 3 seconds. 2 seconds further back down the road to Walker. Those are the first 3 riders up and over the leg snapper in this Category D race. It's a Herd rider leading from Galaxy, from Level, from ESRT rider Gould. They are all going over in a line now. Can they get together? Can this group of riders become a pack and chase down the riders in front? It is 2 seconds the gap to the group in front, so lots of individual riders. But in this B race, it is
moving back to B. We've got a rider going up the
pack.
front. Robson from Electric Spirit making a break for it. Some orange, showing off some orange numbers there.
Yeah, 300
Strasser
meters
right behind her
to go.
with a 1 second gap.
So 300 meters to go, 200 meters to go now in this Category B race. It's the Electric Spirit rider on the front of the pack are coming. The pack are coming fast, and I think it's going to come over the top.
Over the top of her. Near the line. At least it wasn't right at the line. But that was a good effort from our Electric Spirit rider out there.
The riders fast and furious in Category B. One big sprint coming in. This is the Category C race. 900 meters left to go in the Category C race. We've got a leading group with a chasing group behind. It's not a big gap, but with 800, 700 meters to go, I think the winner, Gillian, has got to come from this group.
I definitely think I concur, Emma. I think Jackson out in the front. I think I'm interested to watch her other teammates in purple. Team ESRT. Oh, maybe I spoke too soon, but I was interested to see if maybe she was keeping the pace high so that her teammates could eventually come through the group. But instead we have Porter from NZ Bros, Rosenkrantz from ESRT, Rennie from Crush Pod, and they're going for a long sprint here. Some orange numbers.
Sprint, isn't it? Yeah, so Porter is in one.
Rosenkrantz. Oh my gosh. Rosenkrantz going to take her right over the top of Porter.
Yeah, indeed.
Well
so
done.
Rosenkrantz in one, Porter in two. Yeah, and riders continuing to sprint in thick and fast through that line. That was a big pack coming in there in the Category C race. And this is our Category D
race. Looks like
race.
Our Category D, they all came back together and they have their own group off the front. Michelle O from Galaxy, Fish from Aeonian, Walker from ESRT, and we've got a Coalition rider. Beams from Coalition.
Yeah.
Kind of
so this looks to me like it's
Walker. That's not the whole peloton, is it?
No, this looks to me like it's around 12 riders, this leading group, with a 6-second gap back to the chasers. So 12 riders clear in this D race. 7.7 kilometres now of this 9-kilometre race. This is the final race in stage 1 of the Tour of Boudicca. This is Friday. It is the first day of racing, and it is Hannah Fish from the Aeonian squad who is up there on the front of the group with company from 11 other riders, and that gap, Gillian, to the chase group behind 6 seconds is not changing.
Nope, it is not. Correct. I do concur again. As the riders have just under a kilometer before they're wrapping up their final race for stage 1. It didn't look like they were really chasing because of that 6-second gap, but now we have that 3-second back, unless
and I think that's been spotted.
Missed the fact that they were putting. Although I wonder if it's riders falling off the back of this group.
Well, I think that's been spotted. I think the fact that the gap was coming down has been spotted by the riders in this group. It's also been noted that they are 600 metres for the finish line, so they have gone for a long attack to stop the chase group from catching them. Taylor is there, Fish is there, Beams is there. These riders pushing on. The Galaxy rider is there, as well as the rider Ullendorf from Vixen. Walker is there as well. As these riders have all come back together with 400 metres to go. They can see the orange banner of the finish line.
See the finish line at this point. So I'm hopeful that we're going to maybe get an exciting finish here like we had in the C's. Oh, and here out goes our team in red pants. Not sure who that is.
Level. It is
Level
indeed.
in yellow coming up.
And Herd. It's the two riders from Herd who go across that line.
Herd.
So the two riders from Herd Racing in third place, the rider from Level. Then it was Hannah Fish who made that early break from the Aeonian squad in fourth. That was our Category D sprint. That was our final stage. The rest of the pack you can see being led back from Nibley. The rider there, when Chelsea and Gray from Herd and Galaxy, they're going to be leading the rest of the pack in this Category D race. All 4 of our riders are now in, and the results are coming up on the screen in front of you from stage 1, race 1 and race 2 results are there. Gillian, do you want to take us through?
Moving up from race 1, category A, Cecilia Hansen from, is it Hansen or Hansen Aeonian? Is the Aeonian part of her
Cecilia
name?
Hansen from the Aeonian race team.
Aeonian. And then Maria Holcroft coming in second. Gabriela Guerra rounding out the podium in third place for race 1. Moving to category B, race 1, Clara Lee on our top step, Vicky Nealon at her right, and Leah Cuthbertson rounding out the third place spot in Category B. Category C, we've got Sophie Rosenkrantz, Paige Monroe, who I actually race with in person in the Chicago area, and Lena Isse, rounding out that Category C podium. Category D, in first place for race 1, we have Phi Stairs. Second place, we've got Natalie Taylor, and third place, Mari Walker. Race 2, moving back over to Category A, Cecilia Hansen from the Aeonian squad. Bianca Leone. That's some very, very impressive moves from Hansen today from the Aeonian squad. Maria Holdcroft. She's gonna be up there near Cecilia Hansen. I'm interested to see what their time gaps are. Moving over to Category B for their podium of race 2, Emily Sjogren. I apologize for not being able to pronounce your name. Helen Sharp in second place. Marjolaine Day completing our race 2 Category B podium. Moving over to Category C on race 2, Emma Porter in first place. Petra Fieldner in second place. And Matilda Olsen in third place. Category D, race 2, we have H. Fish and in first place, and then Sarah from Coalition in second place, and Carmen Rogans wrapping up the third place podium, or the podium in third place for Category D. Race 3, we've got results for race 3.
We do indeed, and take a look at Category A. It's like a 1-2, let's swap place.
Yeah, I'm very interested to see where these time gaps are. Maria Holcroft with that amazing breakaway off the front definitely earned herself some not necessarily time bonuses, but earned herself some time there.
Yeah.
With that move off the front. Moving into second place for Category A, race 3, is Cecilia Hansen from Aeonian again. All she needed was the second place. To I would be interested to see how close that time gap is between Holcroft and Hansen. Rounding out that third place spot for the Category A podium, race 3, is Polona Itkin. Category B, race 3, first place, we have Emily Sjorgren. Second place, Rhiannon Robston team. And then third place, we've got Femke Vassen from Synergy. I think it's in second place, it's Rhiannon Robson, and then whatever team she's on. Race 3 for Category C, first place, we have Rosenkrantz. Second place, we have Emma Porter. Third place, rounding out the podium, is Layla Overmo. Category D, first place, Carmen Rogans. Second place, Manon Holtman. And third place, Natalie Taylor.
Yeah,
well done to all the riders.
Yeah, so Rogan's coming up in race 2 and race 3 in that D category. Emma Porter, likewise in Category C. Just trying to look there for the riders. Continuing, Sophie Rosenkrantz as well in Category C. 2 wins out of 3 races. Fantastic performance there. Category B is indeed Emily Sogren, who has taken 2 wins as well, and it is the Category A race. Cecilia Hansen from the Ionian squad, Maria Holdcroft in there, continuing in the 1-2 to be those names in there. Polina Itkin making it through, Hansen's Ionian teammate in that final race as well. So phenomenal racing, as you say, Gillian, and full results from this evening's racing for our viewers can indeed be found on Zwift Insider. There is the second race later today. Those races come tomorrow morning will be put together for some overall race results for us going into tomorrow. And going into tomorrow, we're going into stage 2, which is the sprint stage. We are on the Glasgow Crit, and it is going to be absolutely fast and furious. I cannot wait for it. I'm sure Gillian can't wait either. So
I can't wait for race 2. Criterium racing, crit racing has a sweet spot in my heart. That's what we do here in the Midwest. Just a reminder to all of. Go ahead, Emma. Just a reminder to all of our podium finishers today to send in your race verifications to race control. I believe it's within 2 hours after the completion of stage 1.
Yeah, absolutely indeed. That is what is required. So stage 2 and stage 3 of the Tour de Boudicca still to be completed over the weekend. Today was an individual battle. Tomorrow, the team competition starts in earnest. Thank you for joining us from me, Emma Martin, from Gillian, from everybody behind the scenes. Stay safe. Enjoy your riding. We'll see you for stage 2 tomorrow. Goodbye.
Goodbye.